Rookie of the Year race is over.
She has the elite level to see things before they transpire. She can't do this. She lead the WNBA in assists. She cooking. Let her cook.
But we just have to understand that when a transformational figure enters the fray, you got to pause and then isolate and compartmentalize and give them the love that they're due. And in this case, it belongs to Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark's journey in the WNBA has been nothing short of extraordinary, but it hasn't come without its share of challenges. As one of the league's rising superstars, she has found herself in the crosshairs of critics, both on and off the court. But when the hate pours in, Clark doesn't stand alone. From WNBA players to media powerhouses like Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, and Skip Bayless, Caitlin has been defended in powerful ways.
Caitlin Clark had another monster game. She had 28 points, 12 assists, and a 193 win over the Dallas Wings today.
This girl is incredible. What she did in college for women's basketball, what she's doing in the WNBA.
She turned the Fever, we're 1-8. They have a winning record now.
But the number of attention, eyeballs, she's brought to college and the pros. And for these women to have this petty jealousness.
These are all the times Caitlin Clark was unfairly targeted and the times the sports world stepped up to have her back, starting with the overrated game. One of the first major incidents happened during a heated game against the Las Vegas Aces. The Aces, known for their physical play, tried to break Caitlin's spirit. Several players threw verbal jabs at her, calling her overrated during dead balls and trying to get inside her head. Despite the pressure, Clark put up 30 points, 8 assists, and led her team to a narrow victory. The hate was palpable, but it only fueled Caitlin's fire, and her response would prove that.
Some change left to play here in the first quarter. Caitlin Clark calls it.
Clark, ever the composed competitor, shrugged off the trash talk in the post-game interview, stating, quote, "I've been doubted my whole life. This is nothing new," end quote.
But I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before.
She refused to let the haters see her flinch, demonstrating the toughness that makes her so special. But toughness comes both on and off the court.
I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down.
So the question was, what if the hate continued from multiple directions? Of course, the hate hasn't been limited to just the court.
But they still ask you about Rookie of the Year. Yeah. What is your stance on that?
So my whole thing was like, when I got drafted, number 7. So I'm like, cool. Like, the pressure is not even on me because I'm drafted 7. So the pressure shouldn't be up there. If I am Rookie of the Year, God, thank you. If I'm not, back to the drawing board, and I just want to win.
It didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but it is what it is.
The media has also had its share of doubters, skeptics, and critics of Clark's game. Her aggressive style, confidence, and willingness to talk back have led some media outlets to paint her as cocky or too outspoken for a rookie. During her first few games in the league, several media commentators criticized her performance, especially after a rough shooting night against the Chicago Sky.
The loss against the Mystics. They want to clean some things up. Caitlin Clark's body on Reese. Clark gets freed up.
One particular headline read, quote, "Caitlin Clark, overhyped or overrated?" End quote. Analysts questioned whether her college success could translate to the professional level. Enter Stephen A. Smith, who came to her defense on First Take.
Caitlin Clark is box office.
He said, quote, "Are you kidding me? We're really questioning Caitlin Clark after one bad game? This young woman is a generational talent. Let me tell you something. She's been doubted before, and every time she's proven the doubters wrong. I'm not worried about Caitlin Clark. She's going to dominate this league." End quote.
There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
Stephen A's fiery defense of Clark not only shut down the critics, but also highlighted how much faith he had in her potential. Coming from a voice like Stephen A, it began to highlight that CC could be one of the greats, but some of her WNBA colleagues needed more proof. Not all the hate Caitlin Clark has received has come from the media. Opponents in the WNBA and even some coaches have thrown shade her way.
I'll probably say, I'm gonna just say not serious. that's Caitlin, not serious.
Whether it's frustration over her success or jealousy of her abilities, Clark has become a target for all sorts of criticisms from within the league. Before one of their first matchups, WNBA legend Diana Taurasi made headlines with some subtle yet pointed comments about Clark. Quote, "You know, she's good, no doubt about it, but this league isn't college ball. She's got a lot to learn. We'll see how she handles it." End quote.
As it relates to Caitlin Clark, who could come and make the WNBA far more relevant. I'm not going to say she's going to make them relevant, but she'll make them more relevant.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like when you go from kindergarten to first grade, there's a learning adjustment. You know, I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct, and like anything.
Greatest to ever play the game, seemed to be questioning whether Clark could handle the intensity and physicality of the WNBA. I'm not sure she knew what she just unleashed.
Afternoon, still trying to find her rhythm, a deep pull, got it!
She didn't have to say a word, letting her performance speak volumes. In the post-game interview, Clark remained diplomatic but confident. Quote, "I've got a lot of respect for Diana, but I'm here to prove that I belong." End quote. But one game didn't convince too many people, and the haters kept coming. When the doubters continued piling on, Shannon Sharpe stepped into the ring to defend Caitlin Clark. On Undisputed, Sharpe was quick to shut down any negative talk about her ability to perform under pressure. Sharpe's defense? Quote, "Let me tell you something about Caitlin Clark. This girl has ice in her veins."
Because she has that ability. She has the elite level to see things before they transpire. She can't do this. She lead the WNBA in assists. She cooking. Let her cook.
Sharpe's endorsement of Clark wasn't just about her scoring ability, but her toughness and resilience in handling the constant pressure. And Sharpe's co-host at the time, Skip Bayless, couldn't argue with CC's greatness. Bayless, known for his controversial takes, actually became one of Clark's biggest supporters during her first season. After a particularly rough game where Clark was targeted by multiple defenders and had one of her worst shooting performances, the media was ready to pounce. Critics were quick to say she couldn't handle the defensive intensity, and some even suggested that she was crumbling under the pressure. On Undisputed, Skip Bayless was quick to counter the haters. Quote, "I don't care if Caitlin Clark goes 0 for 20. She's a killer on the court, and you can't measure that by one bad game. She's got a swagger to her that you don't see every day, mark my words."
Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark.
Is going to eat their words, end quote. Bayless's defense of Clark showed that even in her lowest moments, she had media figures willing to stand up for her and recognize her long-term potential.
This girl is a superstar. I've been saying it for years. I keep telling everybody she's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, college or pro.
But Clark was about to face her biggest hater yet, USA Basketball. Another major incident occurred when Caitlin Clark was left off the USA Basketball roster for an exhibition tour, sparking outrage from fans and commentators alike.
There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
Many felt it was a clear slight against Clark, who had been one of the most talked about players in women's basketball at the time. Despite being one of the top performing players in the WNBA, Clark was shockingly left off the USA roster for a major international exhibition. Critics of the decision said it was a result of the politics within the organization, while some even suggested it was because Clark's confident persona didn't sit well with the coaching staff. Stephen A. Smith, never one to hold back, took to his show once again to express disbelief at the decision. Quote, "This is an absolute travesty. How do you leave Caitlin Clark off the USA roster? This girl is box office. She's the future of women's basketball, and we're leaving her off the team? Whoever made this decision should be ashamed." End quote.
They played better than Caitlin Clark thus far. I get all of that. I'm not thinking about basketball. I'm thinking purely about marketing.
Smith's passionate defense of Clark not only resonated with her fans, but also sparked widespread conversations about the politics of USA basketball and how they may have mishandled one of the league's rising stars. Aside from the major media personalities, Clark's fans have been some of her most vocal defenders. Social media has been a battlefield for Clark, with both haters and supporters constantly clashing. Every time a negative story about Clark surfaces, fans quickly rally to her defense. And that is no different in the latest hate shot at her from Swoops. As a pioneer of women's basketball and a Hall of Famer, Swoops is a revered figure in the sport. But when it came to Caitlin Clark, she didn't hold back her criticisms. During an interview in August 2024, Swoops was asked about the new wave of talent in the WNBA, particularly Caitlin Clark. While Swoops praised some of Clark's skills, she also took a more critical stance, saying, quote, "I think Caitlin has a lot of growing up to do. She's talented, no doubt, but she plays with a chip on her shoulder that can rub people the wrong way. She's got to learn that this isn't college ball anymore." End quote.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game. You have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them.
The comments sent shockwaves through the basketball community, as many expected Swoops, a trailblazer in the league, to embrace the next generation of stars rather than criticize them publicly. That wasn't going to fly with CC's supporters, especially Stephen A. Smith. On First Take, Stephen A. Smith addressed Swoops' comments directly. Quote, "Look, I respect Sheryl Swoops as much as anyone, but I disagree with her here. Caitlin Clark is doing exactly what she needs to do. She's playing her game. Yes, she's confident, but that's what makes her special. She's not here to be liked. She's here to win. And if that rubs people the wrong way, so be it." End quote.
Sheryl Swoops is a winner. She was great, and she's a phenomenal basketball mind. It's automatically going to be assumed that it's something personal to ignore the kind of things that she's ignoring when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
Sheryl Swoops. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark?
Stephen A.'s passionate defense of Clark was shared among top media personalities, and it seems the elder generation is getting a little bit jealous of just how much impact Caitlin Clark is having so quickly. In her typically mature fashion, Clark chose not to respond directly to Swoops' comments, but in a later interview, she subtly addressed the criticism. Quote, "I've always played with a chip on my shoulder. That's who I am, and that's why I'm here. I have a lot of respect for the legends who came before me, but I'm focused on my game and how I can help my team win." End quote.
Now, look at her numbers. Look at her numbers comparable to the other guards that were on the team. That's all I'm saying.
This classy response made Clark even more endearing to her fans, and she would be able to count on them and their defense in many more circumstances throughout the year. As Caitlin Clark continues to dominate in the WNBA, the haters will likely keep coming. But if there's one thing we've learned from her journey so far, it's that she's more than capable of handling the critics, the doubters, and the naysayers. And with media titans like Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, and Skip Bayless in her corner, the hate only seems to fuel her fire. Through all the hate, Clark has remained laser-focused on her goal, to be the best player she can be. Clark said in a recent interview, quote, "People are always going to have something to say. At the end of the day, it's about what you do on the court, and I know what I can do." End quote.
Like I said, I mean, we can win. It's not anything about the building. It's not about the gym.
Caitlin Clark's first season in the WNBA has been a roller coaster of highs and lows, filled with moments of brilliance and bouts of criticism. But every time the haters have come for her, legends of the game and the media have stepped in to defend her talent, her character, and her future. Whether it's Stephen A. Smith passionately shutting down the doubters, or Shannon Sharpe praising her resilience, Caitlin Clark is proving that she can handle the spotlight and the hate that comes with it. In the end, Caitlin Clark's journey is just beginning, and if this season has shown us anything, it's that she's not just playing for herself. She's playing for every young girl who has ever been doubted, for every athlete who's been told they're not good enough, and for every player who's had to fight for their respect. And with a support system like hers, Caitlin Clark is ready to take on whatever comes next. Let us know what you like best about Caitlin Clark's rookie season in the comments section, and we will see you in the next video.